Hi guys, it's Carlisha, and today I want to make a video just talking about the books that I want to read in 2023. So this is my TBR, my to be read of 2023. Hopefully I read all the books on this list. I'm trying to get myself grace, if I don't. And even give myself room to add in different books that I might find out throughout the year. And just be led by God throughout the year of what books I read. Some of the books that I want to read, but God might lead me to read something different. So these are just the books that I want to read. So the first book I want to read this year is the Bible. I'm not saying I want to read the whole entire Bible in 1 year, but what I'm saying is I want to read like full books of the Bible, because last year in 2022 I was reading the Bible, but I wasn't really completing full books, and I was just going random places. I didn't really know what I was going to read for a long time. For a few months I was like, what am I going to read? And I was just reading random things, and I feel like that affects my relationship with the Lord if I'm not reading full books of the Bible. So right now I'm reading the book of Revelation, and I'm really enjoying it. And so that's one of my goals for 2023, is to finish complete books of the Bible. Okay, the next book that we have is a book that I'm actually reading right now. I'm reading Delighting in the Trinity, and I got it for Christmas. I'm really enjoying this book. It's just talking about, the first chapter kind of gives you more of an understanding of what the Trinity is, understanding the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and then it's just talking about different topics about the Trinity. So I'm in chapter 2, where it's talking about creation, and it's talking about why God created the earth. It talks about creation, and then how that relates to the Trinity, and the Trinity is the reason why God created the earth. One thing it talks about is that God is made into 3 persons, and so it's why did God create the earth? That was one of the questions. If God was a one person, like God, then he might create the world for selfish reasons, because he was lonely, or so he can have servants to just just pamper him and stuff like that. But they're talking about, since God is a Trinity, he already had that love. The Father already loved the Son so much, and the Son already loved the Father. They didn't create humans out of, just wanting to be loved, because they're lonely. So it's just stuff like that, and I'm learning about how the Father really loves the Son, and the Son really loves the Father, and how the Holy Spirit also took part in creating the world. So that's what I'm learning about in chapter 2, and so I'm just really loving it, and I feel like it's definitely helping me to grow and love more for God. Then this is a book that I might read this year. I'm not really sure. I don't know. I kind of feel like I should, but at the same time I'm not. I don't really know. It's called Whisper by Mark Batterson. This book is How to Hear the Voice of God. I read some of it before. I just have not finished reading it. But yeah, I was just looking through this book, and it actually makes me want to read it again. Talking about seeking first the kingdom of God and emotions, and I remember it said something about praying the bravest prayer. It has a chapter in here that's talking about sitting in silence with God, and that's very important for hearing God's voice. And so it's a pretty good book. I'm thinking of reading it this year. I want to read it even more now that I'm looking through it right now. And so it also talks about you can hear God through dreams. So yeah, it sounds pretty cool. I think I might try it again sometime this year. So I tried to do it before, and this wasn't good timing for me to read it before, I guess. But the next book that I have that I want to read this actually pretty soon. This is called Share Jesus Without Fear. And let me tell you, I really love evangelism books. If you are someone that struggles with evangelism and struggles with fear to share your faith, and struggles with how to know how to share your faith, read evangelism books. They give you so much boldness and encouragement, and just reminding you that you need to be witnessing, that it's something that you're called to do, regardless of how you feel. And so also you can get books that encourage you with persecution and stuff like that. I like to read books about people who are persecuted, because that motivates me to share the gospel, regardless of persecution. Just knowing other believers did it, and if Jesus went through what he went through for me, I can go through something for him as well. And so Yeah, I wanted to read Share Jesus Without Fear. I'm pretty sure it comes with a other book. I think this is just the workbook. And then it comes with another book, which I don't have. So I might have to get that to read this. I don't know. I think there's still some stuff in here that I can still learn from this. And then also it's supposed to come with a video, like a video session, which I don't have that either. I guess you can get the full everything out of it if you were to do all three of those things, but I'm pretty sure I can still get something out of it by just using the workbook, so I wasn't gonna do unless I need to get it. Okay. Week 1 is developing a heart to share Jesus. Week 2 is share Jesus, is learning a way to share Jesus. Week 3 is responding to the challenge to share Jesus. Week 4 is being obedient to share Jesus. So this is just making me excited right now just to read it. So I've had this book for a few years and I just have not read it yet. And so yeah, I'm really excited about this book because I want, like, this year I really want to get into more evangelism, and books like this really help me. I know that there's some Christians out there who really struggle with evangelism. I'm gonna say reading books and also passing out tracts, Christian tracts. I probably can make a video about that, but Christian tracts, that helps me to get into getting used to sharing my faith. Then we have this book. This book is not very, I haven't heard anyone else talk about this book. I'm also excited about this video just because I feel like I have a lot of books that I haven't really heard people talk about, and I want these books to get out there so people can read them and know about them, because I don't really hear people talking about these books. But it says, When Faith is Forbidden, 40 Days on the Front Lines with Persecuted Christians. Okay, so I think this is like a book where it's like a journalist or something, and they're interviewing, they're interviewing people, like persecuted Christians, something like that. And also, and the thing about this book, it has like little things in here, where I guess they ask you questions or something, and they give you room in here to journal yourself, which I love stuff that's interactive. That just helps me to stay engaged and stuff like that. It's just different people sharing their story. This chapter is called I Almost Drowned, Taking a Shower. I don't know if that means somebody tried to drown him when he's taking a shower. I don't know. But there's just different things in here. And then there's another chapter that's called We Have Everything We Need. Well, it probably has something to do with somebody. A lot of people are really persecuted in other countries, and it has something to do with having everything taken away from them, but they're saying that they have everything they need in Jesus. This one is called Persecution is the Expectation, not an Accident. Books like this really inspired me to, when I see books or people are really getting persecuted for their faith and they're so strong, it's just like they're like, oh, I'll die for Jesus, and they're just so passionate about their faith. It just like is so convicting to me, and it's also just inspiring to help me know where my heart is supposed to be at, and how willing I am to be persecuted. And I think that in America we go through persecution, and people will sometimes get into violence with persecution, and also you just get a lot of rejection and stuff like that, and it definitely 100% is hard to be persecuted in America. But in other countries where it's not allowed to be, where it's illegal to be a Christian, they're going through so much. They're being beaten, they're being raped, they're being killed, they're being arrested, they're being kidnapped, and they're being fired. Everything is being taken away from them. Their house, their Bibles are being taken away from them. Just like they're not able to really gather properly as our church. They're just going through so much in other countries, and it just helps me to know that if they're going through stuff like that, that I can also be rejected by Christ, and I can go through the persecution that's in America, if they're going through the stuff that they're going through. And not to say that the persecution in America is easy, because I know that it's not, but it just inspires me that if they're able to be persecuted on that level, that I can also handle the persecution that we get here. And speaking of persecution, I've read some of this book already, like a chapter or two, something like that. It's called Hearts of Fire. Okay, this book is so good. Okay, it says 8 women in the underground church and their stories of costly faith. Please go buy this right now. These are stories of people. Well, okay, so I haven't read the whole book, but the first chapter, the lady didn't die, in the first chapter. I don't know if they're going to be stories about other people, other Christians who are martyrs and been killed, but the first person that I read about in here did not die. These are true stories as well, of how this lady was in, I don't know, I think it was, I don't remember where she was at, Indonesia, I believe. And she was in a Muslim town, and or Muslims came to her town, a Christian town or something, and they burned the whole place up. They're burning people up. They were killing people, and then her and her family had to run, try to hide and try to escape, and she had to take her little children with her. And they had to just, try to run so they won't get caught. They ran to this forest, I think, and they just ran as far as they could. And then they didn't have any food, so then the husband went back and went to the village that they were fleeing from, and he went to go get them food. And while he left, they didn't know if he was ever going to come back. And the mom was telling her children, if these people find us and they try to kill us for our faith, you cannot deny Jesus. And then the little girl, I think she was 7 years old, she was like, I'm not afraid to die for my faith, Mom, something like that. And it was just so inspiring to just that little girl, it was just 7 years old, she was like, I'm not afraid to die for my faith. And she said she was willing to die for her faith. If they asked her, are you a Christian, and she was going to be killed for her faith, she was ready to say, yes, I'm a Christian. It was just so inspiring, just the things that people go through for God. And so this book is filled up with just different stories of different people of being persecuted. It just helps you know what people are going through, and it also helps you to know you got to be praying for people in other countries, Then I have this book. It's called The Practice of the Presence of God. I'm going to have all these books in the description. So, yeah, listen. I tried to read this book multiple times, at least 2 times, and I don't know. This book is popular. People talk about this book all the time, and I got it because it talks about how, having a relationship with God and just enjoying Him with all the small things in your life, just enjoying Him while you're cooking a meal, enjoying Him while you're, working, enjoying Him while you're just doing just the mundane things of life. It just talks about enjoying Him through everything. And so I really wanted to learn how to have that type of lifestyle, because I feel like when I first came to the Lord, I was really living in that, and I feel like I got away from that. So I wanted to really get back to that, just talking to Him through just everything that I'm doing and just being aware of His presence all the time. But I tried to read this book, and I feel like this book is so confusing to understand, though. I just really feel like it's hard, because it was written in it says 1666, so it's old language up in here, and it's hard to understand. And they have remade the book so that it's easier to understand, but I still feel like it's hard to understand what the heck they're saying. So, but I'm gonna just try again this year to try to just take my time with it and just really try to understand what they're talking about. But it's some of the stuff in here you can kind of see what they're talking about, but I don't know. But I know what the book is about, and I just want to get all the goodness out of this book. There's different versions of this book as well that are supposed to be because they've been translated, or not translated, but kind of revised so it can be more understandable. But I'm gonna try again because I know this is a really good book and people talk about it all the time, but no one talks about how it's difficult to understand. I just understand this. Then we have another book. I got this book for Christmas. This book is called The Holiness of God by R.C. Sproul or Sproul, whatever. And so it's just talking about, the holiness of God, talking about who God is. And that's one thing that I wanted to do this year, is I wanted to get more books that had to do with who God is, which is why I got Delighting in the Trinity. I want more books that talks about God, and I guess just theology of just who God is, and I just want to be in awe of Him. I want to love Him more. I want to know Him more. I have a lot of books about, like I said, persecution, evangelism, how to hear God's voice better, just stuff like that. Yes, I have books that are how to do this and how to do that, but I want books about just who God is. I don't have a lot of books that are about just who God is, so I got this book and I just want to read it this year, just getting to know God. So I've heard of this book before, and I definitely want to know about the holiness of God. I feel like that's something that I need to know about more. I need to understand more of His holiness. I'm excited about this book. even just talking about these books right now make me more excited and make me want to read them even more. And they're just great books, and I'm just so excited about reading. I really wanted to read more this year. But yeah, this chapter is called Be Holy Because I Am Holy. And yeah, holy justice, the trauma of holiness. I don't even know what that means. Allowing God's holiness to touch our lives. And have a book about God in the hands of angry sinners. I don't know what that means, but we'll find out when I read it. Then we have another evangelism book. This is called Turning Everyday Conversations into Gospel Conversations by Jimmy Scroggins and Steve Wright. I never read this before. I think I read like a few pages of it, but I never actually like read it through. And I just wanted to try this because I feel like a lot of times like you want to share your faith, but you don't even know how to get into the conversation. Like, how do you even get there? And like, my pastor is someone who can like, I feel like he can like turn any conversation into an evangelism conversation, and I just don't understand how. I really don't get it. So I wanted to get a book that helps me to do that, because sometimes I want to share my faith, but I'm like, how the heck do you even get there? Like, how do you get to that point? Like, we're talking about hot dogs, and then how do you get to talk about the Lord? Like, we're talking about this. How do you get there? I don't get it. It says chapter 1, our mission field. Chapter 2, the gospel. Chapter 3, everyday people and conversations. Chapter 4, transition to the gospel. Chapter 5, circles, gospeling tool. What? Chapter 6, invitation and response. So yeah, we have that. Then we have Conversational Evangelism by David Geisler and Norman Geisler. I've read some of this book, maybe like a chapter or two of this book, and I absolutely loved it. And it was so like inspiring, and it really made me want to share my faith with people. And it really helps you in this world where you have so much people just following other faiths, other religions, other like just, this is my truth, that's your truth, just like so many things like this. So there's a little bit of apologetics in this book, and it's just like, it's really good. I'm telling you how to talk to people nowadays in this world that we live in, because it's a little bit like, I feel like it's a little bit different witnessing to people in this day and age than it was a long time ago, because people are just like, we have social media and we have everyone trying to be like everybody else. We have all these other, the world is getting worse, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just, I feel like this book is really good, and I would love to read this year. I'm not sure if I'm going to read it all the way through, or if I'm just going to, I don't know. I have to see, because it is kind of like a heavy book. I mean, it's still, it's not hard to understand, but it's kind of like very hard. I mean, very like meaty, basically. Like, there's just like, this is like a book where I feel like you have to study. You can't just like read it through. I have to really have the time and the mindset to read that. Okay, then we have a book that is, okay, this is called I Want to Witness, But What Do I Say? I've never seen anyone talk about this book. I've never seen it nowhere. I read a little bit of this book. It's definitely inspiring to share your faith, and it also helps you to be bold. I'm not sure if I really agree with everything that was in this book, but I liked the boldness of the lady that wrote the book, like how bold she was to share her faith, and that's something that I want to take away from the book. So yeah, it says, I want to witness, but what do I say? Icebreakers to segue in conversations and truth to say to 13 false religions. So there's a lot of good things in this book, and there's a dream that she said that she had where God gave her, where it was like there were Christians that were like praying for revival. They were praying for people to be saved, and they were like on the beach, and then there were people, something like that, and then like there were other people on the other side of the beach, or they're like in the ocean or something like that, and they wanted to, I don't know, they wanted to come into the water or something. Anyway, basically the Christians were like somewhere that they were like experiencing joy and happiness and like fulfillment and stuff like that, and then the non-believers were somewhere where they weren't experiencing that goodness yet, but they wanted to get to that place where other Christians were, but they didn't know how to get there because no one was witnessing to them. But the Christians were praying for revival, they were praying for those things, but they weren't witnessing to get them to that place. And that was so convicting to me when I read. And so there's a lot of different tips in here, and different things. Like you can say, like, what can you say to someone when they're at a casino, or what do you say in the kitchen? Oh, that's really cool. That's what I'm like. So it's a really great thing to like teach you what to do. Like, how, if you don't know how to get into a gospel conversation, what to say to someone if you're in the kitchen. What to say to someone when you're at a bar, to a suicidal person. What do you say at Easter? What do you say at the laundromat? What do you say at the bookstore? I mean, there's just so many great things. What do you say at the beauty salon? So there's so many great things in this book, and it's just amazing. I have Growing in Purity, 100 Days for a Girl's Heart. This is actually for teenagers. I'm not a teenager, but I read some stuff in here, and it's still convicting. It's like a devotional, so there's still some things in here that I still enjoy. Okay, so. Then another book, I don't have it yet, I want to buy it, but it's called Seeking Allah, Finding Jesus, and it's a book about how Nabeel Qureshi, he was a Muslim, and that's what he grew up being, a Muslim, but then he had his roommate in college. His roommate was a Christian, which is actually David Wood. He's on YouTube, he's an apologist, he does apologetics and stuff like that. And so basically, long story short, he led him to Christ. They were debating a lot about Christianity and Islam. And after like, I guess, years or however long, he got him to follow the Lord and helped him to believe in Jesus and answered all his questions about Christianity. And he saw that Jesus was the one true God, and Islam, that wasn't it. That ain't it. I want to learn more about stuff like that, and just like Jesus among like other gods. That's actually a book called that, but just like Jesus compared to other gods, and just like the apologetics behind that, and the theology and everything behind that. I want to just like learn more about stuff like that, to strengthen my faith and strengthen my walk with the Lord, and just increase my awe for Jesus and increase my reverence and my fear for God. So that's what I want to do. Then I possibly might want to read that book. It's by Frank Turek, I think, or I don't know. Anyway, it's called I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist. I think I possibly might read that this year. I don't really know. Then the last book I'm going to mention is called Quiet Moments with God by Lloyd John. I don't know his last name, whatever that say. Okay. Prayers and Promises for Each New Day. And this is not a book that you just read through. It's like a book that has a prayer for every day. And so, you have it's dated, so I got February, got July, just every single day they have a prayer. Today I did one of the prayers for January, and it's just really a great way. If you're struggling with prayer, it's a great way to get into prayer. They have prayer prompts in here, and they have a verse, and then the scriptures are based, the prayers are based off the scriptures. So today it was about being kind and loving to one another, and it had Romans 12:10, be kindly affectionate to one another with brotherly love and honor, giving preference to one another. And it says, gracious Father, you have given me the privilege of caring for others. Each is a never to be repeated miracle. You have called me to a ministry of intercession and released your blessings when I pray for others. It's just a good book to get into prayer. If you're really struggling with your prayer life, that's a great way. And even when there have certain prayers in there, you can also add to the prayers what you say to the Lord. So you can just, whatever comes to your mind as you're praying, you can pray more. Those are all the books that I want to read this year. And I hope that I'll be able, and I pray that I'll be able to finish all these books, because even as I've been talking about the books, it's made me want to read them even more. So I hope that I inspired you to read some of these books, or just read more books, more Christian books this year. Leave in the comments what books you're reading and what books you want to read this year. And yeah, the books that I mentioned will be in the description box so that you guys can buy it if you want it. You can check it out. Please like my video, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, see you guys later. Bye.